Hello, there is a new offer in the polgote.com Go School. Lessons about improving your middle game. And this is a sample lesson. This is a game which I played against Mateusz Surma on the European Grand Prix final this year. I was black, and at this point I thought that the game is fine for me. But Mateusz had a very interesting idea how to deal with this situation. So what do we have here? There are these two stones of white which can be cut. There is also another group of white which is not completely safe yet, but it has a little base. And then there are also groups of black. For example, this group of black is not completely settled and there is also a cutting point. And then there are another groups of black on the top. In fact, the top groups seem rather strong, and in fact, black can hope that later he might make a big territory, fourth line territory on the top. And how should white deal with this situation? So for sure, white doesn't want to just connect these two stones. This would be very, very boring, a very slow move, taking a neutral point. And now if black protects his shape or maybe creates a territory on the top, black will be very happy. So for sure, white needs to do something more active. And one idea would be that white tries to go out, threatening that he goes into black's area on the top. Then I guess black should answer, and white can then think about attacking black's group in the center. However, I believe black can manage this attack, protect the shape a bit, and then try to go out. And if white tries to cut black, this might be already too much because white will not manage to enclose black. And if you cannot enclose your opponent but you try hard to do it, then often your own shape might collapse. So this would be a bit too brave of white to try this. Then another idea might be to peep this cut first and then try to attack the central the upper side of black. However, here black should also be able to manage this fight. Black will just try to go out and split white stones. White will have two groups, this one group on the top and the other group which is these two central stones. So this is not an easy situation for white, not easy to deal with it. What else can white do? Well, it seems that white cannot really attack black severely. If white just plays a tenuki, plays somewhere else, for example, does something related to the other group of his, then probably black will just protect the upper side and also put pressure on these two white stones and trying to force white to connect here, which would be very, very boring for white. So this would be a success for black. We can conclude that that central part of the board connected with these two white stones and with what happens on the top and with this cutting point in black's shape is the most urgent, most hot place on the board. And white needs to think of how to deal with this situation. And the idea my opponent, Mateusz, came up with was very interesting. So Mateusz decided to play a move which is indirectly connected with that fight. Mateusz attached to my stone. This might look a bit surprising. What is this attachment doing? Well, for sure, black needs to answer somehow, because if black plays elsewhere, then white can harass black's corner really a lot and make it much weaker and build a group on the top. But then, how should black answer? Usually, it is said that the attachment moves are not the best in Go, so maybe black should try to punish somehow this move of white. However, if black tries to punish this move and play Hane and try mm, to wrap around this stone, then white will resist with a counter Hane. And if black cuts, black will realize that there are also weaknesses in his own shape, and it's not easy to deal with it. And if black just goes back with such a connection, then white will achieve a big strength, which will in turn weaken the group of black. So maybe black will try a bit more, a bit safer tactics. For example, black will just connect, but then again, white can add a move. White can treat this stone at n16 pretty lightly. And what did white get? Well, white break into black's area on the top. White connected his stones, and now the black group on the top is under pressure. And white also got an influence which faces the center, so it might help in the central fight. So this attachment is a very, very interesting move. It is like a hand grenade thrown against black's stone. So white is leaning on a stone of black, which white doesn't really want to attack. White doesn't care that black can make this stone stronger while answering, because what white cares about is this central fight. So white wants to get some supporting stones which will influence that fight. This is a very mature thinking, and black is really scared of playing Hane because he knows that any Hane will help white to counter Hane and get even more supporting stones for the fight which really matters, the fight which happens in the center and on the left of the top side. Then black has another option, which is just back off, go down, and this move cannot be too bad. However, I think white will be rather satisfied with this AB exchange because white got a stone on the outside, and this is what white really wants when there is a fight on the outside. So here, how can white continue? Maybe white just jumps and creates a shape and creates a line which will face the center, or maybe white cares more about connecting with the two stones over here. So white tries to connect the line like this. Maybe black can accept such a result. However, black feels like white got something with that AB exchange. So in the actual game, I tried to resist, but I didn't want to Hane white because I was just afraid that I will give white supporting stones for the fight, so I just went up. So that I break into the center. But then Mateusz, what did Mateusz do? Mateusz could continue with such a move, connecting the line, but then he is not sure if this exchange helps him or not. So what white decided to do is put even more pressure on my shape and create a cutting point. So I feel under pressure. I feel that I owe a move, but if I just add a move like this, then white will get even more stones, put pressure on my group on top, and now it seems that it might be even possible to cut my group. So this looks really, really scary for black. So I decided I cannot just go back to p18, and I decided to counter-attack a bit to put pressure on white's group, but white managed to go out. Then I think, okay, I can still try to break white's shape, and if white answers, I attack white pretty severely, and it is black who gets an influence on top. But now Mateusz made the last very important decision in this fight. So what should white do now? The clue of the whole situation is that white doesn't care that much about these 3 stones. And even though black threatens that black can cut these 3 stones, white can deal with it, or white can agree on it. What white really cares about is this line and the influence towards the center. And why can white afford black cutting here? Because still there is a weak point in black's shape. So the cut is not that easy. For example, here white has a Tesuji, which help white connect with his 3 stones. And if black tries to capture the 3 stones, then black is also cut. So it is not easy for black to deal with the 3 stones on top, and white is satisfied that white got some stones on the outside. Right now, I was really becoming a bit desperate because white went into my upper side, white split my groups, and white got the stones in the middle. Probably the best thing I can do now is say, okay, you played these moves, you gained something with them, but I get sent and I can put pressure on your other group. But in the game, I was a bit fixated on that fight which is happening on the top, and I tried to put a constant pressure on white's group. However, after a few moves, it became apparent that here my shape is really bad and it is white putting pressure on me and not me putting pressure on white. After a few more moves were played, it became clear that I am under attack. Here white cut me, and in the end I struggled really a lot to try to save these stones. In the end I died with these stones, and these are cutting stones. So this was a really bad result for black. So what happened here? It was this move which was the most important thing in this whole fight, the start of a trouble for black. White threw a hand grenade into against the stone which he didn't want to attack, but he wanted to put pressure on that stone. And because it was the attachment, black needed to answer locally. Black needed to do something related to these 2 stones. However, any Hane might finish in white getting a big support in a fight against the other group of black. So the Hane is difficult to play. Backing off like this would be just a success of white, because white got something related to the central fight. And then if black tried to resist with going up, white didn't say, okay, now I connect the line, because this would be not clear if white gained. In the end, black also managed to get out, and the having an access to the center when there are weak groups in the center is very important. So what white did in the game was putting even more pressure on black, and then black was being under constant pressure, and in the end black was super busy both with the cuts of this group and with that group, and also importantly with this group on the left. In the end, black's position fell apart, and from here on the game became better for Mateusz. So I really want to advertise this smart technique of throwing a hand grenade, of playing an attachment, which can help you in the fight which is happening a bit next to where you attach. I hope you learned something from this lesson. In fact, such an attachment is a high-level technique, but you can try using it in your games and just see how it works for you. Okay, this is it for today. I hope you like these middle game lessons in Polgote, and you enroll for such a course of middle game lessons. That's it for today. See you again. Bye bye.